Have you ever smiled, just to keep the peace, while something inside you quietly shattered? Perhaps it happened in the middle of a conversation, when someone said something that hurt you, but instead of speaking, you simply nodded and softened your tone, because you didn't want to make things worse. Or maybe it was in the kitchen one evening. You were tired, aching not just in your body but in your heart. Yet you still said, "It's fine, I'll take care of it," because saying no felt somehow selfish. These moments seem small, harmless, even kind. But over time, something deeper begins to erode. This isn't the kind of pain others can see. It doesn't leave bruises on the skin. It doesn't cry out in public. No, it's the kind that quietly rearranges your spirit, softly but persistently. It teaches you to disappear. And here's the strange part. Society often rewards this kind of self-erasure. You're seen as pleasant, easygoing, a joy to be around. But the truth is, when you live only to be liked, you slowly forget how to be yourself. Some people will hear this and nod quietly, because they've lived this truth. They know the fatigue of always smiling, the sadness of never being fully seen. Others may disagree, believing that keeping the peace is a form of spiritual strength. And yes, there is wisdom in gentleness, but is it truly peace if the cost is your soul? Today we step into this tender space, not to blame, not to accuse, but to hold a lantern to a shadow many of us live with, the silent suffering that grows when we betray our own truth, just to feel acceptable. So let's begin this journey gently. Let us pause here and breathe together, because this isn't just a story about pain, it's a path toward reclaiming presence, toward listening again to the voice you've silenced for too long. Before we move forward, ask yourself, when was the last time you said yes, when your whole being whispered no? Part 1. The mask we learn to wear. It starts early, almost before we even notice. A gentle nod from a parent when we stay quiet at the dinner table. A teacher's praise when we sit still and don't speak our minds. The approval in a friend's eyes when we pretend to agree just to keep harmony. These small moments, repeated like a quiet mantra, teach us something powerful. If we behave, if we smile, if we make things easier for others, we will be loved. We will belong. We will be safe. And so we begin to construct a version of ourselves that fits neatly into what others expect. A version that pleases, smooths over rough edges, avoids difficult truths. It becomes second nature, like slipping on a familiar robe before stepping out into the world. We wear it so often, so automatically, that we forget it's even there. But this mask, this social self, comes at a cost. I once met a woman in her late 60s who had lived her whole life being the easy one. She never raised her voice, never disagreed openly, always offered to help. Her children adored her, her neighbors trusted her, and yet, in the quiet of her own home, she confessed to feeling like a stranger in her own life. "I don't even know what I like to eat," she said, with a hollow chuckle. "I've spent so many years cooking what others love." Her words weren't bitter, they were tired, worn from decades of pleasing. The Buddhist teachings remind us of anatta, the idea that what we often call the self is not solid or fixed. It is fluid, changing, dependent on conditions. And yet, many of us cling to the persona, the role we perform, as if it were who we truly are. We invest in it, protect it, and fear what might happen if we let it go. But just like an actor who forgets to step off the stage, we risk losing touch with the one who exists beyond the role. In truth, the mask is not evil. It helps us navigate relationships, find common ground, and function in community. The danger arises when we no longer see it as a mask, but mistake it for our entire being. We begin to live from the outside in, responding, adjusting, surviving, not from the inside out, where the true self breathes quietly beneath the noise. There is a saying in Zen, when the shoe fits, the foot is forgotten. The mask, like the shoe, should serve us, should support, not suffocate. But if we wear it too long, too tightly, it begins to press into our soul, like a boot that's 2 sizes too small. We don't scream. We don't even complain. We just limp along, smiling. So today, perhaps we begin with this question: who is the person beneath the smile, and what might they be longing to say, if only we gave them a little space to speak? Part 2. The slow betrayal of the self. It doesn't happen in a single moment. There is no dramatic rupture, no loud breaking of glass. Instead, it arrives like dusk, gradually, almost imperceptibly, until you realize the light has faded and you're sitting in the dark, unsure of how long it's been this way. The slow betrayal of the self begins in tiny gestures. You tell a friend you're okay when you're not. You laugh politely at a comment that stung. You offer your time, your energy, your presence, even when you're depleted, because saying no feels like abandonment, like failure, like selfishness. And so you do it again and again. Each time, a small voice inside says, "This isn't right," but you hush it, because keeping things peaceful, being liked, staying good, that feels safer. Over time, these small silences become habit, and the habit becomes identity. Until one day, you look in the mirror and realize you don't quite recognize the person staring back. The eyes are yours, yes, but where is the spark? Where is the weight of knowing, the fire of desire, the sacred boldness of being truly alive? I remember a story shared by a former hospice nurse. She once sat with an elderly man during his final weeks. He had spent a lifetime working hard, raising a family, and being, in his words, a decent man. But as the end neared, he whispered a confession that pierced through the quiet hum of machines and time. "I lived a life that made everyone else proud, but I'm not sure I ever made myself proud." That one sentence held decades of unspoken regret. In Buddhist thought, there's a quiet warning about samsara, the endless cycle of suffering, caused not by fate, but by our own clinging, our own forgetting. When we forget who we are, when we live to maintain an image rather than embody a truth, we trap ourselves in a prison with walls we helped build. And here's the tragedy from the outside. Everything may look perfect. You may be admired, respected, even envied. But none of that can fill the silence that echoes inside when your spirit has gone missing. That kind of emptiness is not healed with compliments or approval. It asks for something deeper, an honest reckoning, a return. Because every time you say yes to others while saying no to yourself, a small fracture forms within, and those fractures, if ignored, become fault lines. Eventually, something gives way. Not all at once, no, but little by little, your joy, your clarity, your sense of belonging to your own life begins to slip through the cracks. And so we ask, gently but urgently, how many times can we abandon ourselves before we forget the way home? Part 3. The inner conflict. A war without noise. Some wars are fought with raised voices, shattered plates, or written ultimatums. But others, they unfold in silence, deep within the chambers of the soul, wordless, hidden, invisible even to those closest to us. This is the war between the self we show and the self we bury. A quiet tug of war between what the world wants from us and what our heart is trying to whisper beneath all the noise. You might not even notice when the first battle begins. It could be something as simple as agreeing to a family request when you're already overwhelmed, or swallowing your disappointment to protect someone else's comfort. It seems noble, harmless, but that gesture, however small, isn't neutral. Deep down, a part of you knows, this isn't what I wanted, and that truth, denied, doesn't vanish, it begins to stir. In Buddhist psychology, the mind is not one single, unified entity. It is a flowing river of many parts, conscious and unconscious, wise and reactive, peaceful and agitated. When we live out of alignment with our inner truth, that river becomes muddied, conflicted. One part tries to hold the mask steady, smiling, agreeing, keeping things in order. But another part, the deeper self, begins to push back. And this pushback doesn't arrive like a voice of clarity. No, it arrives sideways, in fatigue that sleep can't cure, in a strange irritation at things that never used to bother you, in dreams where you're lost, unheard or trapped, in small waves of sadness that roll in uninvited while you're washing dishes or watching TV. This is not weakness. This is the soul trying to be heard. There's a parable of a monk who spent years polishing a mirror, believing that if he could make it perfectly clean, he would see his true self reflected. But no matter how much he scrubbed, the image remained unclear. Only when he stopped polishing and began to look inward with honesty did the fog begin to lift. In the same way, we often try to fix ourselves on the surface, be more agreeable, more generous, more likable, hoping it will bring peace. But peace does not bloom from pretense. It takes root in truth. This inner conflict, the one between the role we play and the soul we silence, can go on for years, decades, and to the outside world, you may appear fine, but inside, you are living in exile from your own essence. And the longer this split continues, the harder it becomes to hear yourself, to trust your instincts, to remember what joy even feels like. So let's ask, softly but sincerely, if your heart and your habits are no longer on speaking terms, who are you truly living for? Part 4. The cost of pleasing everyone. It may start as kindness, a warm smile, a helping hand, a willingness to listen even when you're tired. And indeed, kindness is a sacred thread in the tapestry of human connection. But when kindness quietly becomes compliance, when compassion turns into chronic self-erasure, something sacred within us begins to wither. We don't notice it at first. After all, who could argue against being agreeable, helpful, reliable? But underneath the praise you receive for always being so easy to get along with, behind the admiration for how you never complain, lies a burden far heavier than anyone else can see. The burden of never fully showing up as yourself. There's an old story from the Buddhist tradition about a woman who spent her life pouring tea for others. Day after day, she refilled every cup at the table before touching her own. Guests came and went, praised her hospitality, and spoke highly of her generosity. But as the years passed, no one noticed that her cup was always the last, sometimes even left empty. And one day, as she reached to pour yet again, her hands trembled. There was nothing left in the pot. Her kindness had become depletion. This is the hidden cost of pleasing everyone. It's not just about exhaustion or burnout, although those surely come. It's about losing your voice in a room you never leave. It's about watching your own needs wither, like plants left too long without water. It's about feeling invisible, even in the center of your own life. It's about feeling invisible, even in the center of your own life. You may be surrounded by people, yet feel startlingly alone. Not because they don't love you, but because they don't know you. How could they, when you've spent so long presenting only the most acceptable parts, the most useful sides, the version of yourself least likely to ruffle feathers? In Buddhist insight, this is the quiet suffering of dukkha, not just the obvious pain of illness or loss, but the subtle, persistent ache that comes from living out of balance with what is true. When our actions arise from fear rather than authenticity, when we perform instead of connect, we create tension in the soul, and tension, held for too long, becomes illness of the spirit. I once spoke to an elderly man who had spent decades as the rock of his family. He never raised his voice, never let himself break. He was proud of being dependable, but in the silence of retirement, when the busyness fell away, he felt something hollow inside, as if he had spent a lifetime building a house for others, but forgotten to leave space for himself inside. I gave everything, he told me quietly, and somehow I still feel unknown. What many of us don't realize is that this pattern, saying yes when we mean no, suppressing anger to avoid conflict, overextending ourselves to keep others comfortable, often has its roots in fear. Not malice, not weakness, just fear. Fear of rejection, of not being loved, of being seen as difficult, and so we comply, smile, numb, until one day we can no longer tell the difference between politeness and self-betrayal. But there's a deeper question underneath all this. Is it truly peace if it requires your silence? True peace does not ask you to disappear. It invites you to show up with gentleness, yes, but also with truth, with softness, but also with boundaries. In the end, the cost of pleasing everyone is steep, not in dollars or hours, but in lost parts of the self, in swallowed words, in tears held back for decades. And perhaps the most heartbreaking part is this: the people we try so hard to please may love the mask, but the mask can't feel love. Only the real you can. So ask yourself, when you give so much of yourself away, what is left for you to return to? Part 5. Signals from the soul. When the unseen speaks, the soul has its own language. It doesn't speak in headlines or clear announcements. It doesn't always raise its voice or show up in a way others can see. No, the soul whispers. It nudges. It sends signs in the quiet hours of the night, in the hollow ache behind your smile, in the tension that coils in your chest when you say yes, while every fiber of you begs to say no. It sends messages through your body, your dreams, your subtle moods, not to punish you, but to protect you, because the soul knows when you've gone missing from your own life. You see, we often think of suffering as something loud, a breakdown, a crisis, a dramatic rupture. But for many people, especially those who have spent their lives trying to hold everything together, suffering is quiet. It shows up as fatigue that lingers no matter how much you rest, as irritability at the smallest things, as a strange numbness in the middle of a beautiful day, and sometimes as an inexplicable sadness, a kind of mourning for a self you can't quite remember but deeply miss. Buddhist teachings remind us that when we live out of alignment with our Dharma, our inner path, disease begins to form, not just physically, but spiritually. The body and mind are not separate. They are mirror reflections of our inner balance or imbalance. When the mind strays too far from truth, the body begins to echo that distance. Sleeplessness, shallow breath, tight shoulders, digestive troubles. These may all be symptoms, not just of age or environment, but of a soul in quiet rebellion. I once sat with a woman in her early 70s who had always been described as calm, composed, and deeply giving. But over the past year, she had started experiencing panic attacks, heart racing, breath short, palms clammy. The doctors found no clear cause. She was physically healthy, and yet she felt like she was unraveling from the inside. "It's like I'm drowning in my own silence," she told me. And as we gently peeled back the layers, she admitted something she'd never said out loud. "I've spent my entire life being what others needed me to be. I don't know who I am when no one is looking. This is what happens when the persona, the version of us shaped by pleasing and performance, overtakes the authentic self. The deeper parts of us don't vanish. They wait, but the longer we ignore them, the louder they try to be heard. Not through words, but through symbols. In Buddhist psychology, these symbols often appear in dreams, being lost in a crowd, screaming without sound, trying to run, but unable to move. They're not just odd images, they are coded truths. Your inner world waving its arms, begging you to come home. And when the dreams are ignored, the soul speaks through behavior. Perhaps you find yourself shopping compulsively, or endlessly scrolling, or staying too busy to ever be alone. Maybe you eat when you're not hungry, or fill your calendar until there's no room left to feel. These are not failures, they are clues. And behind every one is a deeper question. What am I avoiding? What truth is trying to surface beneath the noise? There is a Zen saying, when the mind is silent, the soul begins to speak. But silence is not just about outer quiet. It is the kind of stillness that comes from no longer running, not from others but from yourself. And this stillness, though it may feel uncomfortable at first, is sacred. It is the first moment in a long journey home. So perhaps, instead of brushing away that heaviness you feel when you're alone, you might ask it gently, what are you here to show me? Because the soul never punishes, it only points. And when you learn to listen, even your pain becomes a guide. Part 6. The Path Back to Wholeness. There comes a moment, not always loud or dramatic, when you realize you can't keep living this way. Perhaps it's during a quiet morning when your coffee doesn't taste like anything anymore, or maybe it happens in a room full of people, where everyone is laughing, and you suddenly feel like a ghost at your own celebration. It doesn't matter how successful you've been, how admired, how deeply needed by others, something inside you knows this is not peace. And that awareness, however small, is where the path back to wholeness begins. It begins not with answers, but with questions. Questions that aren't always easy to face. Who am I when I'm not performing? What do I want? Not what's expected of me, but truly deeply want. What have I silenced, year after year, just to belong? These are not comfortable questions, but they are holy ones. They are the kind of questions that mark the turning point, the moment when the self, long buried under years of people-pleasing and performance, begins to stir again. In Buddhist philosophy, the journey to wholeness is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the masks. It's a process the tradition calls coming home to your true nature, and it's not easy. It requires that we begin to unlearn, to peel away the layers of habit, fear, and conditioning that taught us to trade authenticity for approval. One elderly gentleman I spoke with once described it like this: I spent 60 years building a reputation and a role, but the most sacred work I've done has been in the last 5, trying to find the man beneath the performance. His voice cracked when he said it, not from weakness but from reverence, because facing ourselves fully is no small thing. It is an act of quiet courage. The path to wholeness often feels, at first, like loss. You may begin to say no more often, and people might not like it. You may speak your truth and find that some relationships shift or even fall away. You may begin to listen to your body again and realize how long it's been crying for rest, for care, for gentleness. These losses can feel like grief, and in a way, they are. You're grieving the comfort of the mask, the safety of being what others needed. But what you gain in return is something that can never be given from the outside yourself. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." And yet, How many of us have spent decades offering that love only to others? How many of us have waited to be given permission to rest, to feel, to be? This path doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. It invites you not to get it all right, but to show up honestly, flawed, human, radiant in your own way. Wholeness is not about becoming invulnerable. It's about embracing the full range of your humanity, your joy and sorrow, your clarity and confusion, your desire to belong, and your longing to be free. It's about letting yourself be real, even if that means being misunderstood. Because freedom, true freedom, doesn't come from how others see you. It comes from living in alignment with what you know is true, even if your voice trembles when you say it out loud. So if you find yourself standing at the edge of change, afraid, uncertain, aching, remember this: every return to the self begins with a tremble. Every journey home begins with a single trembling step. And the road, though unfamiliar, leads to a place where your own soul waits patiently to welcome you back. Part 7. A Quiet Revolution. Choosing yourself. Not all revolutions are loud. Not all battles are fought with raised fists or defiant banners. Some of the most life-changing uprisings happen in silence, not on battlefields, but within the quiet chambers of the heart. And perhaps the most radical revolution of all is this: choosing yourself. After a lifetime of placing others first, of softening your words, smoothing your rough edges, and putting your own desires on the back shelf for later, there comes a moment when you realize later never came. You've waited long enough. You've earned your place in your own life. And yet, taking it, truly claiming it, can feel like a rebellion. But here's the truth, one that is as uncomfortable as it is liberating. You will not find peace by constantly avoiding conflict. You will not find joy by endlessly postponing your needs. And you will not feel whole by always being the person others want you to be. Peace, joy, and wholeness all begin in the same place: the moment you decide to come back to yourself, fully, unapologetically, lovingly. Choosing yourself doesn't mean rejecting others. It means including you in the circle of compassion you've so generously drawn for everyone else. It means saying, I matter too, not with bitterness, but with clarity. And yes, it might ruffle feathers. Some people will notice the shift. They might say you've changed, and they'd be right, because you are no longer willing to shrink yourself, to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain the fullness of your being. There is a Buddhist proverb that says, you cannot pour from an empty cup. But how often have we tried? How often have we convinced ourselves that giving more would eventually lead to being seen, appreciated, loved in return? It's a painful truth. The approval we've chased for decades was always conditional, always fleeting, and worse, it came at the cost of self-abandonment. Now, choosing yourself means learning a new rhythm. It means practicing the tender daily acts of checking in with your own soul. What do I need today? What am I feeling? What would it look like to be true to myself in this moment? At first, these questions might feel unfamiliar, even selfish, but over time, they become sacred rituals, not of indulgence, but of alignment. Let me share a story. There was a woman in her 70s who had spent most of her life as a caretaker. Her children were grown, her husband had passed, and she found herself alone for the first time in decades. For months, she felt lost, like a character written out of her own story. But one morning, she did something small. She took herself out to breakfast. Just her, a table for one. She brought a book, sat by the window, and ordered exactly what she wanted. No compromises. No what would you like. Just her. Later she said, it wasn't the meal, it was the permission. I didn't ask for it. I gave it to myself. That is what choosing yourself looks like. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet morning, a gentle boundary, a brave no, or a soft yes that finally comes from within. It's a decision you make again and again to show up for yourself, not because the world finally allows it, but because your soul requires it. And yes, you may lose people along the way. Some may not understand this new version of you, not because you've become difficult, but because you've stopped being convenient. That can feel lonely, but in that space of loss, something unexpected begins to grow: self-respect, inner dignity, a connection to a deeper, wiser part of yourself that had been waiting patiently for you to return. So if today you are standing on the edge, wondering whether you're allowed to choose yourself, let this be your blessing. Yes, not only are you allowed, you are called to. Your life, your real life, begins the moment you stop betraying yourself to keep the peace and begin living in quiet harmony with your own truth. Because in the end, this isn't a rebellion against others, it's a revolution for the soul, and every soul, no matter how long silenced, deserves to be heard again. Conclusion: the gentle courage to come home to yourself. So, here we are, at the quiet edge, where reflection meets decision. We've walked together through the unseen struggle of a life lived behind a mask, the gentle exhaustion of pleasing everyone but yourself, the quiet ache of being loved for who you pretend to be, not for who you truly are. We've named the subtle ways the soul speaks: in dreams, in tension, in silence, asking softly but insistently for your return. And now we arrive at the heart of the matter. The mask, it may have served you. It may have shielded you from conflict, protected your place in the world, even helped you survive seasons where being your full self didn't feel safe. But the mask cannot love you. It cannot hold you when you cry. It cannot listen to the wild, beautiful, contradictory truth of your being. Only you can do that. There is a cost to living inauthentically, not always in ways others see, but in the quiet erosion of joy, clarity, and deep peace. And yet, there is a profound reward for returning to yourself, the feeling of coming home, at last, to a place where you no longer have to explain, to prove, or to perform. Choosing yourself, gently, bravely, is not a selfish act. It is a sacred one. Because when you stop betraying your truth, you don't become harder. You become softer in the right ways. You stop resenting because you start honoring. You stop hiding because you start trusting. And in this way, your presence becomes not just more real, but more radiant. Not only for you, but for everyone who meets you. So I invite you now to pause and ask, have I made space for myself in the life I've built? Or have I been standing at the door, waiting for permission to enter my own heart? You don't need anyone's approval to begin again. You need only the willingness to listen, truly listen, to what's been waiting inside you all along. If this message touched something quiet within you, let that part stay awake a little longer. Let it stretch, let it speak. And let this be the beginning of a new kind of relationship. Not with the world, but with you. May you walk each day a little lighter, shedding not just what you carry, but who you no longer are. And may your soul, long silenced, begin to hum again in the quiet, sacred space of your own truth. If this journey spoke to you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, not just to follow, but to stay connected, to walk together, and to keep opening the door to the life you were always meant to live. Until we meet again, may you choose yourself, softly, completely, and without apology.